taste and flavor of McNeese State. So, Chad, you mind playing that? Huh?
What first made you come to McNeese?
McNeese Not yet. Well, Chad's getting that ready. You're in our College of Nursing and Health Professions College, Hartner College. Many of you probably know Mr. Billy Blake, a local businessman and philanthropist, and also a great supporter of McNeese State University. And this college is named after his aunt. And also we're in Stokes Auditorium, other great supporters of our College of Nursing. You're also, we also have in this building, a community clinic that you may not be aware of. And you were right there in the offices of the community clinic, and you saw the waiting rooms there. Every Thursday night, it's a free community clinic that's offered here. We're also looking at possibly moving our infirmary over here and combining that with our nurse practitioner program to have the education and the healthcare together, and have that as a seamless service to our students. So we're always looking to see how we can better serve our students. You know, since I've taken over, we've decided that we're going to become a student-centric university where the student is at the center of everything we do. And one of those things is hopefully to provide a new student union somewhere down the road with the support of our students. Our student union is probably about 60 years old, the old student union. And you know, there comes a point in time in land use that the highest and best use of property is not being served at the moment. And so we're looking forward to that opportunity to serve our students somewhere down the road in the future. Chad, are we ready? So I'll quit talking and let you look at the video.
McNeese State University opened in September 1939, and it is the only public university in Louisiana named for an educator, John McNeese. John McNeese has been called an innovator, a reformer, and a great pioneer of public education in Louisiana. Under his leadership, schools were constructed, student enrollment increased, and teacher qualifications improved. Today, the main campus features 53 buildings on 122 acres, dotted with live oak trees. Francis G. Bulber Auditorium, one of the original 3 buildings, is a striking example of Art Deco architecture. It is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. 78 years after opening its doors, McNeese continues to change the lives of its more than 7,600 students and their families through quality academic programs that support regional workforce needs and make McNeese graduates the #1 choice for employers. McNeese is nationally recognized for its outstanding academic programs, its distinguished and inspiring faculty, and its outstanding return on investment. In the just-released 2018 edition of Best Colleges published by U.S. News & World Report, McNeese is once again recognized as one of the best regional universities in the South, with a Tier 1 ranking, and ranked in the top 50 public schools in the Southern region for a 7th consecutive year. With our focus on the core values of academics, McNeese is taking a leadership role in economic development efforts and quality of life endeavors in Southwest Louisiana. This fall, Student Central, a one-stop shop for prospective students and current students, opened in Chosen Hall, located at the corner of Bryan and McNeese Streets. This former residence hall was renovated to house offices related to recruiting, admissions, financial aid, scholarships, and the high school dual enrollment program. Construction of the Health and Human Performance Education Complex is expected to be completed in June of 2018. This multi-purpose facility will house the growing academic programs in health and wellness, health performance, and sports medicine. It will also provide a future home for cowgirl volleyball, cowboy and cowgirl basketball, banners at McNeese, and numerous other performing arts events. McNeese's athletic programs compete in the Southland Conference and NCAA Division I and football championship level. Cowboys and cowgirls have won numerous conference championships and earned invitations to postseason national tournaments. Recently, Cowboy Stadium was named as one of the top 10 FCS venues in the country in a fan poll conducted by the NCAA. Intercollegiate rodeo is a long-standing tradition, and McNeese students have won many individual and team national championships. Banners at McNeese is known for its annual series of concerts, exhibits, lectures, and educational programming that provide the Southwest Louisiana community with easy access to exceptional arts and humanities events unique to this area. Banners is supported through memberships, corporate sponsorships, and grants. The Southwest Louisiana Entrepreneurial and Economic Development Center, or SEED Center, is a partnership between McNeese, the Southwest Louisiana Economic Development Alliance, the Calcasieu Parish Police Jury, and the City of Lake Charles. The SEED Center serves as a one-stop shop with the services, technology, and experience to capitalize on regional economic development opportunities. Business incubators provide internship and small business development opportunities for McNeese students. McNeese may be the only university of the United States with a regional chamber of commerce located on its campus. The Institute for Industry Education Collaboration provides custom professional development and continuing education courses for area industry and businesses, tailored to meet the needs of employers to improve their workforce. The Louisiana Small Business Development Center at McNeese was recognized as the U.S. Small Business Administration SBDC Service Excellence and Innovation Center for 2016, the top center in the state. McNeese's commercial-free radio station, KBYS 88.3 FM, is Louisiana's first university community radio station. Supported by volunteers from McNeese and the community, KBYS broadcasts several music genres, special hosted shows, and information about McNeese cultural events, athletics, and other campus activities. KBYS programming is also streamed at kbys.fm. With 6 academic colleges and exceptional faculty and support staff dedicated to the university's motto of excellence with a personal touch, McNeese is committed to providing students with the resources and education required to meet the needs of the region for years to come.
This fall we'll be turning 80 years old. A couple years older from with the film set. But let me just say we're so thankful that you're here. We're honored to have you on campus and host you for your meeting and also for your retreat. You're going to have the opportunity to see a couple of different parts of campus during the retreat. We're going to have you in the Cleckley Room at the new Health and Human Performance Center to start off. Then we'll have dinner tonight at the End Zone Room that overlooks the football field. And then tomorrow you'll be at our Alumni Center to finish up your retreat. So just let me welcome you and my colleagues to campus, and just thank you for being here. And if there's anything we can do for you, please let us know.
So we call our meeting to order. Dr. Raquel, thank you to you and the team and the McNeese family. It's wonderful to be here. We've had an opportunity to visit this campus during your search, and really we're seeing a lot of progress and look forward to spending the next few days. I'm now called to order today's meeting of the Board of Supervisors of the University of Louisiana System. Carol, if you could please call the roll.
Mr. James Carter, Dr. Jimmy Clark, Dr. John Condos,
Here.
Mr. Edward Crawford, Mr. Richard Davis,
Here.
Ms. Lola Donahoe, present, Dr. Pamela Egan, here, Mr. Tom Kitchen,
Here.
Ms. Mimi Methvin, Mr. Sean Murphy,
Here.
Mr. Al Perkins, Ms. Elizabeth Pierre, here, Mr. Virgil Robinson,
Here.
Mr. Mark Romero,
Here.
Ms. Christine Russell, here, Mr. Joe Salter.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Carol. As a courtesy, please turn off your cell phones or other electronic devices. Be reminded that anyone wishing to make a public comment on a particular agenda item must complete a public comment card located at the table at the entrance and turn the card in to UL system staff. Thank you. At this time, I'll ask Mrs. Salter to please lead us in an invocation.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity we have to gather here today. And Lord, at the outset, I would ask for your blessings on those of the UL family who have lost loved ones. Lord, I ask that you might be especially caring to them, that you might, with your love, fill the void that they feel. Also, Lord, we have several of our number who have loved ones and friends and family who are ill. We'd ask, Lord, that you might heal them, if it be in accordance with your will, and again, that you administer to those individuals who care for these loved ones. Lord, I'd ask that you'd give us open minds to what we'll learn during the retreat, and we might take that information, Lord, and might help us better as a board to carry out the business of the board, Lord. And Lord, I would, in addition to that, pray for our meeting today and ask that, again, that you would guide and direct us, that the decisions that we make, Lord, would be in the best interest of our students and the citizens of our state. Lord, I thank you for everyone who's involved in this endeavor in our state, and ask that you would bless their efforts, that you would forgive us, Lord, for the way we've sinned against you, and I thank you for your many blessings. For Christ's sake, amen. Amen.
Second to approve the minutes for our last two board meetings. Moved by Ms. Egan, Dr. Egan, second by Mr. Murphy. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Also at this time, we would like to ask our attorney, Brandon DeQueer, and reappointed members Dr. John Condos, Mr. Virgil Robertson, and Mr. Joe Salter to step to the front, allowing for the administration of the
Supervisors of the University of Louisiana System. And according to the best of my ability. And understanding. So help me God. Congratulations.
Want them to sign the oaths?
We can do it now.
Okay.
Congratulations again, gentlemen. It's an honor to have each of you. They have a motion to dispense with committee deliberations and meet as a committee of the whole. So moved. Moved by Mr. Salter, second by Mr. Kitchen. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. At this point, we'll begin with the agenda items listed on the agenda. Since we're meeting as a committee of the whole, everyone can vote on all items. The chairs of the committees will conduct the business. Ms. Donahoe, your committee is up first.
All right, thank you so much. We have 14 items on the Academic and Student Affairs Committee agenda today. Each member previously received executive summaries and associated information on these items. Dr. Janine Kahn, Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs, will provide the report. Dr. Kahn?
Good morning. Thank you, Ms. Donahoe, Chair Romero, President Henderson, and members of the board, and welcome to McNeese. We do have 14 academic affairs items for your consideration, and I'll quickly walk you through each. Agenda items F1 through F3 are requests from McNeese State University, and they are requesting termination of 3 certificate-based programs due to low enrollment in those programs. The first being a post-baccalaureate certificate in middle school education, grades 4 through 8, the practitioner teacher certification track, a post-baccalaureate certificate in secondary education, grades 6 through 12, again, practitioner teacher certification track, and the graduate certificate in business administration. Agenda items F4 and F5 are requests from Northwestern State University. F4 is a request to offer a post-baccalaureate certificate in computed tomography. This 12 credit hour program has been designed for registered radiologic technologists who would like to become certified to practice as CT technologists. F5 from Northwestern is a request to offer a Master of Science in Computer Information Systems. The proposed 33 credit hour program, which received a favorable review by an external consultant, will provide students with an in-depth knowledge of concepts within different areas of CIS, and that they will be able to use those knowledge and skill sets to meet their organizational needs. While there are 7 existing CS and CIS graduate programs currently offered by public universities in Louisiana, none are offered online as proposed by Northwestern, and none are as broad-based as the program that is being considered today. The graduate program is a natural extension of Northwestern's BS in CIS, which currently enrolls 275 students. Agenda item F6 is a request from Southeastern Louisiana University to restructure their existing Bachelor of Art in Spanish to a Bachelor of Art in World Languages. The proposed program would provide students with an interdisciplinary core along with a secondary linguistic skill set in one of 6 areas of concentration to include Spanish, French, Spanish education, French education, dual language, teachers of English as a second language, and global studies. This will be the first program of this nature offered here in the state of Louisiana. Agenda item F7 is a request from the University of Louisiana Monroe to offer a Master of Music Education. The proposed program underwent external review, and the consultant found the program to be realistic, adequately funded, and of great benefit to area music teachers. The proposed 36 credit hour program is designed to develop knowledgeable, skillful, and innovative master music teachers, band directors, and choral directors at the secondary and community college level. This will be a summer-only program which will allow teachers to pursue the advanced degree outside of the school year. And lastly, agenda items F8 through F14 all pertain to the University of New Orleans. F8 is a request to bestow a doctorate honoris causa to Mr. Raymond J. Brandt in recognition of his positive impact on the line is a request to establish Center Austria, the Austrian Marshall Plan Center for European Studies. Since 1997, UNO has been in partnership with the University of Innsbruck for student and faculty exchange, along with collaborative research endeavors. The proposed center, which really already exists in practice, will serve as the hub for such initiatives moving forward. And F10 through F14 are requests to enter into various MOUs with other universities for student and faculty exchange and to promote the transfer of students. And that concludes the agenda items, Ms. Donahoe.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kahn. If no one requires further clarification, I would like to recommend approval of items F1 through F14. May I have a motion and a second? So moved by Dr. Egan, second by Mr. Murphy. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Any comments from the public? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion is approved. Is there any other business to come before this committee today? The next items to be considered are athletics.
Mr. Murphy will address the item in the athletic committee agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have 16 items on the athletic committee that are all consent agenda. Mr. Bruce Janae will provide an overview of the consent items by campus.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Item G1 is from Louisiana Tech. Approval of a contract with Thomas Lane Burroughs head baseball coach. Item G2 from McNeese, approval of its revised athletic home game complimentary ticket policy. G3 through G4 from McNeese as well. Approval of contract with Michael Flutie, head men and women's golf coach, and Sterling Gilbert, head football coach. Item G5 through G7 from Southeastern. Approval of contract with Chris McBride, head women's soccer coach, Lance Guidry, football assistant coordinator, and Jeremy White, head women's volleyball coach. Item G8 to G12, University of Louisiana Lafayette. Approval of contract with Lance Key, head soccer coach, and in various contractual amendments with Michael Desmoro, assistant football coach, David Looney, assistant football coach, Patrick Tomey, assistant football coach, and finally Mr. Troy Weingartner, director of football operations. G13 through 15, University of Louisiana Monroe. approval of contract with Mike Collins, defensive coordinator, Matt Cubic, offensive coordinator, and Keith Reshore, their head men's basketball coach. And finally, item G16 is University of New Orleans' request for approval of its athletic home game complimentary ticket policy. And that's all I have, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Janae. All of these agenda items have been reviewed by staff and are recommended for approval. Of course, if any member has any questions or wishes to discuss any of these items, please let me know. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Any comments from the public? If no one requires any further clarification of the consent agenda items, may I have a motion and a second for approval of items F1 through F16? Okay. Moved by Ms. Liz and second by Mr. Salter. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Do we have any other business at this time? If not, that concludes the business of the athletic committee. Do I have a motion to adjourn? And a second. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy.
Okay.
Your support on athletic items. At this time, Mr. Perkins will address items of the facilities plan.
Good morning. We have 12 items on the facility and planning committee that are on part of the consent agenda and one item for discussion. Mr. Janae will provide an overview of the items if I can.
Thank you, Mr. Perkins. Our first item is item H1 from McNeese. Approval to name a room in the new Health and Human Performance Educational Complex, the Missy Shadow Basketball Suite and Conference Room. Item H2 from Nichols. Approval to rename the President's Dining Room in Lanny Leday's Culinary Hall Arts Building to Chef John Foe's Dining Room. H3 from Nichols as well. Approval to rename the Maywood Rooms in the Donald Bollinger Memorial Student Union to the Andrea Bollinger Room and the Magnolia Room to the Charlotte Bollinger Room. G4 from Northwestern. Approval to allow certain properties located in DeSoto Parish to be nominated to the State Mineral Board for lease. H5 from Southeastern. Approval to name 2 rooms in their Computer Science and Technology building, the Carolyn and Charles Stutz Robotics and Automated Manufacturing Lab and the NVOC Innovation Lab. Item H6 from Southeastern. Approval to name a room in Garrett Hall, the Northwestern Mutual Sales Training Room. Item H7, University of Louisiana Monroe. Approval to enter into a grant of facility agreement with ULM Facilities to construct a new golf facility which had to be moved because of the building of the VCOM Center and the Medical Center. And then request permission to purchase those improvements back. H8, University of Louisiana Monroe. Approval to enter into a lease with an option to purchase 2.4 acres of property from the foundation, and also the foundation wants to donate the Doppler radar tower that has been housed on that property. Item H10, University of Louisiana Monroe. Approval for execution of amendment to their ground lease agreement. I think they want to lease a couple additional acres because as they began to build the medical school, they needed 2 additional acres. They realized. Item H11, University of New Orleans. Approval to rename the auditorium, the College of Engineering building, to the Dr. Fritz Doty's auditorium in his honor. Item H12, University of New Orleans. Approval to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Hines Charter School and Friends of Hines that will allow for a charter school to be built on university property in the future. And item H13 from University of Louisiana System allows the system president to approve the future naming of the University of Louisiana at Lafayette softball field. Those are all the consent items I have, Mr. Perkins.
Thank you, Mr. Janae. All these items have been reviewed by the staff and are recommended for approval. Of course, if any members have any questions, otherwise wish to discuss any of these items, please let me know. I did have one question, Mr. Janae, on the UNO.
Yes, sir.
The Hines Charter School Corporation, the Hines Charter already have schools that already functioning in New Orleans area already?
I'm really not sure, but I think Dr. Niccolo is here. You are correct. Okay.
Yes, Edwards Hines Charter School has a facility down in Harrison. It is an A-rated school, incredible demand. They had about 750 applications last year for 75 spots. This would be a replication of that charter school with a STEAM focus.
And do we know what type charter schools? Is it type 2, type 3, type 4 charter? Do we know?
I don't know. I can get you that information.
Would they be working under the governance of the Orleans Parish School Board, or are they going to have their own separate board?
No, it would be under the Orleans Parish School Board. In fact, the school board approved it, voted to support the MOU last evening.
Any other further questions on any of these items? Any other board members?
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Did we review item H9, or did we skip it?
That is part of the discussion.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
If there are no, if no one requires any further clarification of the consent agenda items, I have a motion and a second to approval of H1 through,
I'm sorry.
no problem, to H8 and H10 through H13. I have a motion by Mr. Davis, second by Dr. Condos. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passed. We have one discussion item from Mr. Janae. Please present.
Thank you again, Mr. Perkins. Our last item is item H9, comes from the University of Louisiana Monroe. Approval for the execution of a ground lease agreement between the board acting on behalf of the university and Provident Group, ULM Properties LLC, and the connection with the construction of future student housing and related facilities on the university's campus. Dr. Brenda is here to give us an overview. Dr. Brenda.
Morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. This is a simple ground lease where the university has been in negotiations with Provident, who has engaged Servitas, the development company, to construct approximately 350 or so additional beds on the campus on university land. This land lease is a simple land lease. The system has had other properties done as such, including Northwestern, the columns at Northwestern years ago. We are not, this is not on the university's balance sheet in any way. There's no outstanding debt. This is a true private public partnership to add additional housing on the campus. It is an area that was formerly used by our band for practice, but the band will now occupy the old soccer area since soccer is moving to a new facility this spring. Any questions? I'll be happy to answer.
This item has been reviewed by the staff and recommended for approval. Of course, any board members have any questions or wish to discuss any of these items, please let me know if there's any discussion for this item. Mr. Donahoe, Mr. Murphy. Okay. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Any comments from the public? If no one requires any further clarification of the items, may I have a motion and a second for approval of item H9? Moved by Mr. Murphy, second by Ms. Pierre. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Do we have any other business at this time? If not, that concludes the business of the Facilities and Planning Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Perkins. Thank you, Bruce. We'll continue, and Mr. Kitchen will address items and comments.
We have, Finance Committee has 12 items on the agenda today. Mr. Little, you'll introduce each one of them.
Mr. Chair, Mr. President, members of the board, I think our last committee meeting we were pretty sparse on items. I think we're making up for it today. We have a number of items to bring before you today. The first First one is a request for Grambling State University's approval of a resolution approving the optional redemption of the outstanding $4.7 million bonds for Black and Gold Facilities Series 2006C. This project was for Grambling to improve their dining facilities and meeting rooms in the student union. In 2016, when Grambling refinanced the HBCU funds for the Tiger Village for about $92 million, they had some excess funds left over from the debt service. They had significantly reduced their interest rates, and they're saving $1 million a year with the refinancing. They had some money left over from that, and this will pay off the student union bonds of $4.7 million, and it'll save them about $400,000 a year.
Any questions or comments from the board? Any comments from the public? May I have a motion and a second for approval?
So moved.
Okay, a motion by Ms. Donahoe, seconded by Mr. Murphy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Our next item is item I2, Louisiana Tech University's request for approval of an amendment number 5 to the lease agreement between the Board of Supervisors for the University of Louisiana System of Louisiana Tech University and Barnes & Noble's College Bookstores. Louisiana Tech University is requesting to make an addendum to the agreement to allow the Alumni Association to create a website for merchandise. The Barnes & Noble will provide a 20% income on the sales of the merchandise through the alumni portal. It's not expected to impact the current bookstore sales that they already have in place.
Any questions, comments from the board?
I have a question. These products that are being sold, these are actual paraphernalia for latte?
Correct. That's going to be the T-shirts, the hats, those types of things that the Alumni Association can provide a link to their alumni. It's a benefit to the Barnes & Noble because then they can generate revenue and sales from that too. So it's one of those win-wins that gives the opportunity for the alumni to capitalize on the bookstore opportunity that they have.
And with that bookstore also include any kind of food vending inside of it, any kind of beverages or anything?
No. What this does is just specifically, Barnes & Noble has a spirit component of it. And so this is just going to create a link that the alumni, so that they will actually send out to the alumni that says you can purchase paraphernalia.
I'm sorry, my question is the actual physical, Barnes & Noble itself, will it have like some of the Barnes & Noble have different coffee shops or something such as that in there. Will it have any of those type facilities?
So they already currently have that in place.
Okay.
So all this does is provide the marketing standpoint to alumni online.
Gotcha.
So this will not impact Louisiana Tech's on-site retail services.
Okay.
Only online.
Any more questions? Any comments from the public? May I have a motion and second for approval? Mr. Condos moved and Ms. Pierre second. Any, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Our next item is item I3, McNeese State University request for approval to charge certain contract tuition and fee rates for online RN to BSN program. McNeese State University has entered into an agreement with iDesign, an online program development service provider, to provide a redesigned McNeese RN to BSN online program. The program contract rate will be for 30 credit hours, and it will be $9,000 for individual students, and it would allow a $7,000 rate for partner institutions or partner entities that iDesign will go out and select. iDesign will receive 60% of the revenue for the first 42 months, and then after the 42 months, it'll be a fee-for-service program. This is a 5-year agreement that iDesign has with McNeese.
Any questions from the board?
Another question. When it comes to the contract tuition and fee, is that something that students pay in addition to the fees that they pay to the university, or is it just through that contract?
So what we've done, and we've had a number of these that have come through probably in the past 5 to 8 years. What this does is it kind of gives
one. This will improve that same program.
Okay. Do we know what the difference is, like, between the prices?
Well, the existing program would be our normal tuition fees, like any program, and this is a little different, so that's why we're requesting permission for this contract.
But would you offer both options, or just?
I think there is both. I don't have our nursing team here today, but I think both would be.
Okay.
Any more comments, questions? Any comments from the public? I may have a motion and a second for approval.
So moved.
Mr. Connos moved and seconded by Ms. Donovan. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
Our next item is item I-4, McNeese State University request for approval to conduct a student referendum to approve a self-assessed spirit fee. McNeese State University Student Government Association proposes that a referendum be placed on the student vote for the following proposed student self-assessed fee in the spring SGA election. They're requesting a $1 increase in the spirit fee in the summer and a $2 increase in the spirit fee in the fall and spring. It'll generate an approximately $15,000 increase. And I do think we should have some students from SGA present today that would like to come forward and give you an update on what they plan to do.
Thank you. And we'd like to petition to hold a referendum to increase the self-assessed spirit fee by $1. So they go from $2.50 to $3.50 in the fall and spring, and from $1 to $2 in the summer. I believe that's it. As the student government, it does matter. So, any questions?
So when will the students be allowed to vote on this proposal?
The 3rd. And
assuming that it were to be approved and by the student body, what types of things does this fund pay for?
Well, this fee is split up between the kickers, the cheerleaders, and the McNeese mascot. And it's generally just towards equipment and traveling expenses.
Any other questions, comments? Any comments from the public? I have a motion and a second for the approval. Mr. Murphy moved and seconded by Mr. Davis. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you. Before I step forward, thank you.
I thought he was going to get up and not mention the student union. Because that was part of the plan, was to prepare you that as you have a chance to tour McNeese, they do want you to have an opportunity to go see the student union, because they have some big plans that they would like to do to build a new student union, renovate the student union, and make some changes for the campus. So I know that was a major project that they've been working on and hope and plan to bring to you in the future meetings. So that one's coming.
Okay, next item.
Item I-5, the Southeastern Louisiana University request for approval of a contract price to offer the university's current RN to BSN program in a learn-on-demand format. Southeastern is looking for a contract price of $9,500 in their new learn-on-demand format. This format will allow students the flexibility to master course objectives in the required 31 credit hours with guidance of a faculty coach in as little as 1 year. Southeastern will use prior learning assessment and performance-based assessment training to offer students a dedicated coaching experience from
all in favor?
Item I-6, the University of Louisiana Monroe's request for approval of its advancement incentive compensation plan. The University of Louisiana Monroe has been working on this advancement compensation plan. Development officers and coordinators. Each year, ULM will set up a pool that the development officers will be able to work through and set goals and have the incentive plan and benefits provided at the end of that time period. University of Louisiana Monroe is requesting approval of their online program and provide.
This is the first.
Dr. Penny?
I'm aware that LSUS does this, but I'm not sure anybody in the UL system does it.
Okay. Do we have any results in terms of how this impacts or affects retention?
I don't have any data for you, but the anecdotal information I have is it's very successful. These people essentially serve as teaching assistants and aren't responsible for the content area of the course, but rather work with the students to help answer questions for them, to grade based on a rubric created by the teacher of record successful model.
And so the selection of this firm, there were others that were considered, or
they are sole source of something like this. As far as we know, we could not find anybody else. The credentials of each of the academic coaches, everybody's vetted by us, and typically those credentials match those of the teaching faculty and meet the SAC-COC guidelines for faculty qualifications.
And Dr. Penny, this is for the program that was just recently approved, correct?
This is for any of our online programs.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I understood. That it's for any.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
I just want to make sure that the answer was to Mr. Clark, Dr. Clark's question. There was an additional search for other companies, or you believe this is the sole?
No, sir. They are sole source, and the sole source letter is the packet of information we provided with the submission.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board? Any comments from the public? They have a motion and a second for the approval. A motion made by Ms. Pierre, seconded by Mr. Condos. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is item I-8. This is the approval of the Board of Regents endowed professorships and endowed scholarships and endowed superior graduate student scholarships. Each February we bring to you the endowments for the Board of Regents. This is probably to me one of the best programs that the Board of Regents has, because they've created a matching fund that in the professorships, an institution will raise $80,000. The Board of Regents will match it for $20,000. Just this past December, they brought back the first generation endowed scholarships, so those will be available next year. So today we have an endowed professorship, the Michael C. Christine P. Bourgeois Endowed Superior Graduate Student Scholarship for Nicholls State University. We have 3 of the Francis Patrick Clark Endowed Professorships in Computer and Informatics. We have the Leander Luzette Labie, Cy and Laura Arsenault Professorship in Education. We have 5 of the Elaine Kusan Coffin Endowed Superior Graduate Scholarships in Biology. And we have the Construction Specifics Institute of Acadiana Chapter Endowed Graduate Student Scholarship in Architecture for the University of Louisiana Lafayette. And for the University of New Orleans, we have the Endowed Superior Graduate Student Scholarship in Accounting and Tax Accounting. And we have the University of New Orleans International Alumni Association First Generation Scholarship.
Any questions or comments from the board? Any comments from the public? They have a motion and a second for approval.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Murphy and seconded by Ms. Donovan. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
The next item we have is item I-9. Mr. Charles Went will present this item.
Good morning, Mr. Kenshin. Thank you, and thank Chair Romero and members of the board, Dr. Henderson. Briefly, this is a request for approval on the affiliated organization payments or supplemental payments and other payments generally paid by your foundations, the university's foundations, to the university on behalf of employees of those universities. And Louisiana law requires that these payments be approved by the Board of Supervisors. Yes, sir, it was about 2.1 or 2.3 million, I believe, in total.
Any questions or comments from the board? Any comments from the public? Do we need a vote on this, or is this information?
This requires a vote. It requires approval on the board, yes, sir.
Then, would I have a motion to, and a second? Mr. Salton moves, and the second is Ms. Pierre. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Item I-10 relates to the fiscal, the second quarter of the fiscal 2019 fiscal year, and it's just a summary of where we stand currently, and I'll be brief. State appropriations are down just a little bit, but that's strictly related to timing because universities will draw at different times. By the end of the year, that's expected to be even. There shouldn't be any surplus or deficit relative to the state appropriations. Other revenues are up $6.3 million through the year, and that's primarily from increases in general registration fees, offset by some decreases in non-resident fees. And those, I think, are derived from waivers granted at the universities that have been previously approved. Expenses are up $17.8 million. That comes primarily from salaries and benefits. Then there's some professional services increases and some other increases in other charges. And that in a nutshell is the basic picture of where this quarter stands. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Thanks, sir.
All right. And then the third one is a schedule of alternatively financed projects. Those are primarily from your facility corporations, and the bonds they issue for housing and non-housing projects on various campuses. And we put those numbers together, we reviewed them, and one of the things that you'll look for on those is that debt service coverage ratio. And based on where we are and based on the estimates provided by the universities, we feel that those universities will be meeting the requirements from their bond indentures for those ratios.
Any questions or comments from the board?
I have a question. I may have missed my opportunity, but I'm going to check it out and see if I can ask the question still. Under your last report on the athletics,
yes, sir.
Part of it, I know normally we kind of get a report on how the athletics department for each of our universities are doing. So I was looking under this part and to see that Grambling, La Tech, McNeese, Nichols, ULL, UNO currently do not have any debt, not working with a deficit.
They currently they may not be reporting a deficit. They may operate at a deficit for the year or be carrying their deficits forward. But their predictions, because again, we're not at the end of the year, so their estimates or predictions are that they will not have a deficit at the end of the year. Some of their deficits will be covered from their fund balances as well. Some have a positive fund balance.
Yeah, for some of those universities, that's an improvement from previous years, at least the past 2 or 3 years.
Some have improved, yes, sir. We still have several universities that are carrying deficits, and I don't believe those deficits have moved. So you'll still see those deficits at their prior year amounts.
Yeah, I think Grambling and some in the past have had $2 to $3 million that would have been working in the past with deficits.
And I think that Grambling's is still at that same level. And I think a couple of others, I believe ULM, Dr. Vernon can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe ULM had a small one. I think UNO also has a deficit.
But we're expecting them to be.
For current year operations, they're still predicting that they will not run a deficit for the current year. And again, that at this point we don't have their year-end figures. It's possible that they still may run deficits.
Thank you. Sorry.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? That was a report only, doesn't require a vote.
Yes, sir.
Next item.
The next item is item I-11, which is a report, I-12. Mr. Bruce Janae will give an update on the internal and external audit activity for the period of November 29th, 2018 through February 17th, 2019.
board folder is a listing of internal and external audits completed by various auditors since last board meeting. External audits are generally conducted in accordance with laws, regulations, and contracts. I do want to note that the Louisiana Legislative Auditor issued the System Audit Financial Report on December 27, 2018. The opinion on that report was unmodified. In addition, there were no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies that required reporting in the system report. Our system and campus staff deserve a lot of credit, as this is quite an accomplishment to receive this very good report. Also within your board folder is a recap of Legislative Auditor financial audit reports and findings for this fiscal year and in 2018. And where applicable within your schedule, I have noted any reportable findings listed, and then some of the campuses are only audited once every 2 years, and I so noted that. And Mr. Kitchen, this is a report only, and no action by the board is necessary.
The annual audit was issued, you said, in December.
Yes, sir.
And it's a very detailed report. Now, I've received a copy just recently. It's 135 pages, so I'm still in the process of reading the document. Nevertheless, it's extremely detailed, has a lot of very valuable, useful information that I would encourage each of the board members to read the financial report as issued by the Legislative Auditor's Office. Any other business to come before the, if not, Mr. Chair, that's all of the items of the Finance Committee. I believe the next item will be personnel.
Thank you, Mr. Kitchen. Thank you, Edmund. At this time, we proceed with the Personnel Committee, and Mr. Robinson, the chair.
Thank you. We have 6 items on the Personnel Committee agenda today that are being presented as consent items. Mr. Edmund, would you lead us through, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, members of the board, Mr. President. We have 6 items. The first item is Grambling State University's request for approval to appoint Dr. David Ponton as the Vice President for Student Affairs and Athletic Director effective January 1st, 2019. Item 2 is McNeese State University's request for approval to appoint Dr. Cynthia Cano as Dean of the College of Business effective February 2nd, 2019. McNeese State University's request for approval to appoint Dr. Chris Thomas as Vice President for Student Affairs effective March 1st, 2019. And McNeese State University's request for approval to appoint Mr. Kedrick Nicholas as Dean of Student Services effective February 22nd. University of Louisiana Lafayette's request for approval to appoint Dr. Ahmed Khattab as Interim Dean of the College of Engineering effective January 1st, 2019. And lastly, the University of Louisiana Monroe's request for approval to appoint Dr. Stephen Sikanolfi as the Interim Vice President for Academic Affairs effective March 1st, 2019.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Any comments from the public? If there are no further clarifications required, may I have a motion for approval? Ms. Egan, Ms. Pierre, second. It's approved without objections. At this time, I will ask the President to come forward and introduce any individuals present today that they would like to. Don't fight over that.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. He's no stranger to this body. Dr. David Ponton is absolutely the most student-centered individual that I've had the opportunity to observe and to work with, and we certainly consider ourselves incredibly fortunate and blessed to have this expanded role for Dr. Ponton. I'd also mention to the board that we've continued to seek efficiencies and ways to streamline our operations. So the consolidation of these 2 roles essentially eliminates an additional cabinet member, which is a total of 2 that we've eliminated. thus far, and we may very well come before you with one more that will certainly show that we're streamlining our administrative team that will, again, right-size us and also save a few dollars in the process. So I certainly appreciate your support as we continue to try and move Grambling forward and present to you Dr. David Rusty Ponton.
Thank you, President Gallo. Thank you, board members, for that approval. I would just like to say I work for the best president in the system, so I appreciate the opportunity, and I am committed to this opportunity, and I look forward to helping us get to where we need to be.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, now Rusty, you were a star basketball player at Grambling, weren't you? Were you not?
No, long time ago at the other school.
Oh, I see.
The other school, Southern University. You know. That's right. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was actually going to the Hall of Fame at Southern. So.
Awesome. We're still working to forgive him for that.
That she looks very good on it.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Ross.
Yes.
Just want to congratulate Dr. Ponton on this movement upwards. I know that Dr. Gallo has stated that you need to be the person, and I know that he has completely vetted it and have gone through all of the due diligence and knows that you are the best person there. So I just want to congratulate you for that movement, and also Mr. Robinson, that is a alpha man. Right, so definitely. So I know Dr. Gallo is definitely using his due diligence. We've overlooked that.
So, everybody makes mistakes.
That's just one of them.
Right. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Hello, my name is Mitch Adrian, Provost here at McNeese. I'd like to make a correction of the gentleman before us because I work for the best president. My background's in business management, and in business management they say, find people better than you and let them do their job. And every year, the older I get, it seems like it's easier and easier to find people better than me. So I'd like to introduce one of those to you today. Dr. Cynthia Cano is our new dean for the College of Business. Since I came from the College of Business, I have a vested interest there. And what's nice about Dr. Cano, she tolerates my meddling and at the same time has her own vision for the college. So, Dr. Cano.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair and members. I am very excited to be part of McNeese, and I have great visions for the College of Business. I see us as having this wonderful community where students come not just to take classes, but to integrate with the university. I'm very excited about where we're going in the advisory council, but none of this is possible if we don't have the great support of the people we work for. And his meddling is just fine. So thank you very much. I'm very excited.
Thank you.
About 7 years ago, a little more than 7 years ago, McNeese State eliminated a vice president's position, and one that is critical to a university. And we were without a vice president of student affairs for 7 years. And Dr. Thomas was in that division and has worked tirelessly as an advocate for our students. And so when we reinstituted that position, we found the best candidate that we could find, and he was on our campus. And I cannot tell you of a greater advocate for our students who has their well-being in mind, their education, and their health in mind. And so with that, I'm just honored to introduce to you Dr. Chris Thomas.
Thank you. Thank you, Board, for this opportunity to serve. I'm humbled by the opportunity to help this area and our students and this fine institution. McNeese has been very good to me. I came as a student activities coordinator in 2006, and now I sit before you with the opportunity to serve
at a senior level as a vice president, and it's given everything to me. This is my professional career, and I'm committed to the students and to this region, and I'm really humbled by the chance to continue to serve the great people of Southwest Louisiana.
In our next introduction, we're going to do a video for you, but I'm going to let Chris also introduce Mr. Kedrick Nicholas to you. So we're going to introduce Ked to you. These are vignettes that we're producing for both social media and for our website.
What first made you come to McNeese? I came to McNeese, I was an athlete in high school. I was fortunate to receive a full football scholarship here to McNeese. When I was in an undergrad and even going into graduate school, the profession I wanted to go in was to become a teacher. But when I came to graduate school and I was able to be a graduate assistant, it exposed me to the administrative side of the university like I had never seen before. So those 2 years of exposure opened my eyes to this as a profession. And it taught me that those people do matter on a college campus, and it's a great career, it's a fulfilling career. What I try to do is give that open ear and listen to each and every one of our students if they come to me with a concern, or if they need guidance in some type of area. I don't watch a clock when I speak with students. I just want them to know that I thoroughly care about them and their experience, and I want them to be as fulfilled as possible as a McNeese student. I'm Kedrick Nicholas, and this is my McNeese.
When I interviewed for the job in 2006, Dr. Toby Osborne said, Chris, there's great things, there's great opportunity at McNeese. And he said, I want you to come here and I want you to help us. And he said, I've got some people in place. He said, we've got a great grad assistant in the office. He's president of his fraternity, he's president of the programming board, working on his master's, and he's going to do a lot to help you. And Ked and I went and had lunch that first week, and I've had the opportunity to work with Kedrick since then. And so I could not be more proud and pleased to introduce, with your blessing, our Dean of Students, Kedrick Nicholas.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. I want to give a special thanks to Dr. Burkell, Dr. Thomas, the McNeese administration, and the students for instilling this confidence in me. I would also like to thank Dr. Henderson and the UL system staff for the opportunity that you all gave me to participate in the Management and Leadership Institute last year. And I will tell the board that the program is real, and I'm a product of it. And I learned so much, of course, from my experiences here at McNeese, but also that impacts our students. I'm proud to say that my wife is here in the back of the room, and she's a McNeese story. So we are very appreciative of this institution as a family have done for me. My goal and vision is to create more of my McNeese stories and to create more students that leave this institution and be as successful as we've been blessed to be. I look forward to upholding the mission and motto of our opportunity, and I look forward to serving the UL system in the years to come.
Awesome.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, it's just not quite 2 years ago, we were on this campus to select the next president of McNeese State. And I think it's a testament to this board, our search process, of course, led by Janine Kahn and Erica Calais. They did it with an internal team that vetted a great group of applicants, and they selected Daryl Burkell. And since that time, Daryl has been getting his administrative team in the right posture. We had 3 examples of folks that were here today, actually 4 if you count Mr. Adrian or Luca Brazzi. Mr. Adrian, Dr. Adrian. But the 3 that he brought forward today are accomplished in their fields, and they're extraordinary examples of what a visionary leader can do. I especially want to say something about Kedrick. I met Kedrick during that search process, and we sat down and we said, Kedrick, help us understand McNeese from the student's perspective. And that conversation was rich. It was absolutely a vital part of our deliberative process, and it was instrumental in helping us. And this is not the last time that you'll be approving Kedrick Nicholas for a position in the UL system. I think there'll be multiple times, and the sky's the limit for him. But I just wanted to thank Dr. Burkell for making wise decisions
I'd like to congratulate both of you and give you an opportunity to tell us who you think is the best president.
I think that goes without saying. And he comes from great roots, just like me, New Orleans native, former McNeese Cowboy football player. So I can't say anybody different.
Mr. Robinson, so I just wanted to acknowledge Kendrick as well. Congratulations. And Ms. Robinson, that is 2 members of Alpha. Congratulations. And
Cat Cities don't have a chance on this.
So we're winning today. So, and just echo what Dr. Henderson has already said. Congratulations. Thank you.
My congratulations to all of the persons who've been promoted today. We wish you the best. Thank you. And certainly you come with great resumes and you've done a great job. And we're extremely proud of you and we look forward to working with you. Please know that you can call on us whenever you need some support. Thanks, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, is there other business to... That's that steak you had last night.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Well, if the board would indulge me just a second, I'd like to recognize our retiring vice president, Dr. Eric Panny. He's been my vice president since I've served at ULM. He's finally had all he could take. So he is retiring effective February 28th, and I'd like to publicly say how much I've appreciated what he's done. He really has smiled a lot the last 30 days. So I wish him the best and a long, happy retirement. I'd like to introduce Dr. Stephen Sikanoffi. Dr. Sikanoffi is an interim and will be in an interim a minimum of 6 months. We're utilizing the registry service to provide him. We're very excited the experiences that he brings with him. He worked for NASA as a researcher, actually was involved in training cosmonauts. Also as a physiologist and has several patents to his credit. He's been on campus 2 weeks and has gotten to be known as well as to know the campus in that short period of time. So we're excited on the experience and the potential research leadership he can provide, as well as the academic challenges we have going into the future. So Dr. Stephen Sikanoffi.
Thank you, Dr. Mueller, and thanks to the system and the board for allowing me to give back to the Academy as an interim vice president at Monroe. Извините, пожалуйста, you говорите по-русски? Хорошо. I just asked if anybody spoke Russian. Working with NASA, I spent literally 1 calendar year living, not consistently, but for 365 days in the Zvezdny Городок, their space center. So I got a chance to understand what and how they did and how different cultures affect what we're doing here. And the culture here in Louisiana is unique, it's different, and it's things that we can be proud of, and I'm looking forward to embracing more of it, more than what I saw in Houston, and moving that forward with the university. Thank you very much.
And we expect his ability to speak Russian will help us significantly in northeast Louisiana. Thank you all. Thank you.
One more thing on the question of the best president. I've only known him for a little over 2 weeks, but best, I might reserve, but effective, visionary, put him at the top of the class. I've worked with a number of presidents. He beats them all.
Is that it? Yes, sir. That concludes the business of the Personnel Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. At this time, we'll proceed to the Legislation Committee, chaired by Mr. Stolper.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask that Ms. Carter come forward and present information on behalf of the committee.
Thank you, Speaker Salter. Good morning, Board. Dr. Bruno, if you will join me at the table. We are well underway preparing for the upcoming 2019 legislative session. We have had 2 roundtables so far. Tuesday, we were here on McNeese campus, and on yesterday at ULM. We have 2 primary asks of the legislature and 1 of the Department of Administration. The first and most pressing wanted to approve an increase across all of higher education. That would be just a little north of $20 million. We are also asking, and Dr. Bruno will expound on this in a bit, but we're also asking for a recurring supplemental appropriation for the ULM Pharmacy School. And we're asking for an amount in FY 2019-2020 of $3 to $5 million, and then going forward the next year, an $8 million increase. And Dr. Bruno, if you would like to expound on that.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. As you all know, ULM houses the only state-funded pharmacy program in Louisiana. Over the years, it has had its ebbs and flows as it relates to funding. A number of years ago, some of you may remember, Dr. Savoy was actually at the Board of Regents, and a collaborative effort of boards as well as legislators worked to get supplemental funding for the pharmacy program as a result of challenges to our accreditation. They were successful in that effort, and the program went along very well for a number of years. Due to the economic conditions of the state over the last 10 years, the reductions in state funding has impacted the College of Pharmacy significantly. So much so to the fact that we have actually cut other colleges to maintain the accreditation of pharmacy. Last year, pharmacy was placed on probation, and the ECPE, their accrediting board, required certain concessions of the university and of course the state in order to maintain and regain that level of accreditation. Part of what was included in there were pay adjustments for faculty, which they felt we were significantly below other colleges of pharmacy. Also to add additional faculty, including student support faculty, etc. Many of these salary adjustments were in an area of $40,000 to $50,000 a year. What that did, of course, we did not have those funds in the other colleges and continue to do that, but there was a restricted fund that has been accumulated over the years in pharmacy that was directed for startup of new faculty, research initiatives, etc. We've had to go into that restricted fund to accommodate the requirements of accreditation. We brought this to the attention of Dr. Henderson and several of the board members and the regents in Northeast Louisiana, and basically said that we're at the point that we cannot continue to maintain the accreditation of the pharmacy college alone. It is a statewide program. We have students from all over the state, and we have done our best to continue doing it. I got to compliment Dr. Henderson. This has been something we've been talking about now for about 8 years. I have files of documentation of concerns, but of course the state's financial situation has not allowed that. Jim took the bull by the horns and basically said, we got to do something about this. It's been too long. We got to fix it. And he has been working diligently with us and others to make the challenge that we have understood that it's not a ULM challenge, it's a statewide challenge. So I certainly would ask your support as we go into the session. Our legislative delegation was very supportive. Hopefully the other delegations will be equally so. The other thing that we have to say is, at one point in time, there were 70 competing pharmacy colleges in the states. There's now 140, so there's doubled. So, like so many other things, students are being challenged to go out of state. We've had to raise tuition, and some of those raises in tuition have basically put us at a disadvantage competitively also. So we have to get back to the point that we have adequate supplemental state funding so we can stop the tuition adjustments and so forth, because we are losing students. We've gone from a high of 95 in the program, which we're capable of doing 100, but this past year we're at 83. So, and 12 students is significant money under the funding that we get from tuition and fees on pharmacy. So, again, I can't thank Dr. Henderson enough for basically listening and hearing and realizing this is but we want this program to go on. We know the state needs this program, and we're asking your help. So thank you for the opportunity to express that position we have and the state has, and hopefully we can be successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bruno. And I would like to reiterate, as he said, that when we met with the delegation here yesterday at ULM, they were very open to and wanting to see this supplemental appropriation happen, particularly our members that are on appropriations and finance. So that is a very promising thing. Also, the last thing that Dr. Henderson has been having very in-depth conversation with the Department of Administration about is the continuation budget. All state agencies are included in the continuation budget, and when it comes to mandated cost increases, the continuation budget takes care of all other state agencies except for higher education. And so while that is a continuous conversation, a policy conversation with the DOA, of course the ask that, or what we're communicating to our legislators is that, of course, then they have to fund that continuation budget. And so legislators that we have spoken to so far are very open to continuing that conversation, and that's something that Dr. Henderson and I will continue to do with our legislative roundtables preparing for the 2019 session. In your folders, you will see the dates of all of the roundtables that are set. Please join us as your schedules allow. And also ULS Day, very exciting ULS Day, is planned for May 2nd. We will talk more about that in Dr. Henderson's report. And Dr. Henderson, if you would like to add anything to, well, Speaker Salter, there's no action required by the board. It's just
any questions from the board or comments? Any questions or comments from the public?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Just for my own edification and understanding, are we acting simply as a system, or are we in coordination with the Board of Regents or the other systems in terms of asking for these two primary initiatives?
Supervisor Clark, if I could. The last 2 years, we've been very successful in the state legislature with with all of higher ed singing from the same page of the hymnal. So everything that we're talking about today, every system and the Board of Regents are using exactly the same language. I think it's absolutely essential. We, as part of the conversation about what we wanted to do globally, of course, addressing faculty and staff salaries, this increase in mandated costs were part of the global picture, but then each system had some individual requests. We all have requests for institutions that are entering an accreditation cycle, for instance, because there's resources that are needed for that. And every system agrees that funding the pharmacy program, because it is such a statewide program, is absolutely essential. So yes, sir, we are in lockstep on that.
In terms of these actual meetings, the roundtables, are other system representatives coming as well, or is it strictly?
Yes, sir. Board of Regents members have been present at the first two.
But in terms of systems, it's typically an individual system because we do have very specific needs. And so at these roundtable discussions, each institution will present its own story. Because as you know, these politics are local. And so while Katrina Jackson is very supportive of higher ed in general, she's really interested in what's going on at ULM, as she should be. And you can say the same about legislators across the board. So it's a very UL system flavor, but very consistent with the higher ed message.
So it'd be safe to say that the campaign is underway?
It would be safe to say that.
And on behalf of the board, I would express appreciation those of you who are here, who are doing this work, and look forward to working with you, and as I know other board members as we go forward. Any other business for the committee? Not, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker Sullivan, Ms. Carter, Dr. Bruno. As we conclude the business of the committees today, I'd ask that Dr. Henderson please proceed with the President's report at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Board members are emailed copies of the personnel actions for review. Staff has reviewed these personnel actions and recommends approval. Mr. Chairman, we need a motion and a second.
Can I have a motion this time?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Egan, second by. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved.
Thank you very much. Going off script for just a minute, I need to thank Supervisor Clark, who drove in from Dallas this morning.
Welcome. Canceled the flight. There was only one option to get here. Everything would have been much later tonight. So I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad I'm awake, and I appreciate the understanding if I babbled or kind of went on some questions. I'm trying to orient myself.
I also want to welcome Supervisor Carter, who just came in from New Orleans this morning. And when we have an off-site or a board meeting that's out of Baton Rouge, it does create some logistical challenges, and it is a little bit different. And so I appreciate all of our board members for making the effort to be here today. Ed Crawford could not be here today. He has a skeletal issue in his foot that makes it difficult for him to walk right now. That just came up from out of nowhere this week, and so he wasn't able to join us. But I greatly appreciate our board for coming here and the staff for handling the logistics of that. Part of the personnel actions you approved today were some communication staff changes. Cole Gentry is a master digital video artisan, if you will, and he has taken a new opportunity in the private sector. Now, Cole was on the staff at Northwestern State University, but he was working part-time also for the system. And so that left us a gap with, if you look at some of the digital products that we have been put forward, they're extraordinary. So we made some changes. I'll give you some numerical or some quantitative measures. In the year 2015 and 2016, the system generated about $85 million in earned media. The communications team that we put together in the 2 years that they've been operating together has garnered nearly $400 million in earned media. It's been a privilege to watch Jesse Gabor and Caitlin Wilkerson hone their talents. Jessie was a student of mine at Northwestern State. She decided to attend graduate school in Baton Rouge, and I was hoping she would join our team as a student worker to help us with graphic design and helping assist in developing our brand. She's done an incredible job. She'll graduate in May with her master's in strategic communication. Her role as a graphic designer and brand manager will allow our system to maintain a consistent and professional digital and print presence. Of course, Caitlin Wilkerson, who started also as a student worker when Cammie decided she wanted to have a baby 2 years ago. I'm sorry, when Cammie went on maternity leave. I didn't read the script right. Once she graduated, it was a no-brainer for us to hire her full-time to provide support to our communications effort. Since then, she's solidified her role as an integral member of the system staff. As the communications director, she will manage the graphic designer and direct the system's social media efforts with an added emphasis on analytics, as well as being responsible for the UL system website and other system sites such as Compete Louisiana. It's a joy to work with both of these professional women. Caitlin will now come to the table to talk about a transparency webpage that she's been working on for the past couple of months. I think you'll be very impressed with the work that she's done on this. It will be an extraordinarily valuable presence, digital presence for us, for stakeholders and decision makers. Caitlin.
Amy's going to help me out and pull up our page. So we started talking about transparency quite a while ago, and I'm sure you guys are familiar with the Louisiana checkbook. And since higher education is exempt from that, we figured we would kind of do our own thing to offer our own measures. So you'll see we've just put the site live last week, and we're still working on some things. If you see any bugs, just let me No, but we have 4 buckets. You'll see we have operational transparency, student success measures. We have a data source bucket down there, and then also transactional transparency. So you'll see the transactional piece is coming soon. It's not ready yet, but we're working on that. So operational transparency, you'll see different measures, financial things. You can click into each one. So I think it's interesting on each graph you can see the system's position among its peers, but also the difference from the average. So if you're curious about what institutions are included in these measures, you can go on the data source page and you'll see that information there. But these pages are all live and ready to be shared, and we're thinking this will be a great help with our stakeholders and at the Capitol this session.
Caitlin, thank you for your work on that. You'll see these measures will be added to as we go forward. We're sharing those with legislators. The response has been very, very positive. This compares our system in the aggregate to like institutions, peer institutions in the other Southern Region Education Board states. And so it is a very valid comparison. We believe that providing more information will help tell the story. It also enhances our credibility when we do tell the story. We can provide any details you would like on that data going forward. I encourage you to visit the page and look at Caitlin's work. It's been fantastic. Caitlin, thank you for that. So last week we held our second annual For Our Future conference at UL Lafayette, and I want to thank President Savoy and his whole team who just did an extraordinary job of welcoming us to their campus. I know it's just another day when we bring 450 people to a campus that's already full. But they did an extraordinary job. And of course, to Ed McKesson on our staff who leads that effort, supporting Dr. Janine Kahn. For those of you who are unable to attend, Dr. Kahn has a recap of this year's conference and a preview for next year.
Yes, well, for those of you that were able to attend the conference, thank you. I hope you found it beneficial, both in regards to information gathered and maybe some new connections made. We did. We had almost 500 faculty and staff from across our 9 member institutions show up and descend upon UL Lafayette for almost 2.5 days, including some pre-conference activities. And if you're ever wondering, what to do on Valentine's Day, 500 people that you're hanging out with is very romantic. But in all seriousness, we had programming that was designed to support the strategic framework that has been set forth by the Universities of Louisiana system. Those that were in attendance were able to select from 44 concurrent sessions that were broken into the areas of leverage, opportunity, value, and engagement. There were peer sessions that were embedded in the programming, so not only could people go and learn new things and bring it back to their campuses, but also connect with their colleagues from across the state, hoping that we could forge some new relationships that they could move forward with some various initiatives. We had over 100 students from UL Lafayette that came out and helped direct people, support people, and so that was wonderful support from UL Lafayette. We had student performers throughout, so we could showcase the talent and the expertise of the students that are under enrollment there at UL Lafayette. I think everything went really well. For your information, we are collecting feedback on all of the sessions and whatnot. The 2 plenaries, we were focused on diversity and equity and inclusion on our campuses, which is a pivotal topic that we're focusing on at the system level and on the campuses as well. We had Dr. Catrice Albert from the NCAA open up things on the Monday morning. And then, of course, we had Miss Lloyda Lewis, who Dr. Henderson will touch upon in a moment or two. So we believe it was a really good success. This is our second one. We grew from 350 to almost 500. Next year, we'll be having the conference hosted on the campus of University of Louisiana Monroe, January 30th through 31st. So your Valentine's Day is okay for next year. And so we cannot thank enough Dr. Savoy and his team for just stepping up to the plate, and everything was just fantastic, and we look forward to being hosted by Dr. Bruno next year.
Last year, Dr. Savoy raised the bar this year, and so, as the bar of expectations always continues to rise. So we look forward to being on beautiful Bayou Desire and seeing you skiing in late January.
I'm going to go just for that.
So Dr. Kahn mentioned the Reginald F. Lewis Equity Initiative. And there was an incredible partnership that was sealed at the conference with Ms. Loyda Lewis as we announced the Reginald F. Lewis Educational Equity Initiative. She was our keynote participant in the conference and made an immeasurable contribution to the conference. Her participation in our pre-conference panel, which included a screening of a documentary about Reginald F. Lewis, was inspiring. And I was delighted that Supervisor Carter and Supervisor Pierre were able to be part of that panel. We had rave reviews of that panel as part of the conference. We're humbled as we work to reach our aspiration to engage traditionally underserved populations. Ms. Lewis blessed our proposal to name systemic programs and efforts in development, as well as those already in place to promote equity and diversity, the Reginald F. Lewis Equity Initiative. This partnership would not have been possible without the connecting power of Mr. James Carter. I'm eternally grateful to him for this. We're excited about where this work will take us over the next, for the foreseeable future. It will be a game changer. It is generational work for the state of Louisiana. And Mr. Carter, I want to thank you again for your work on that. Compete Louisiana. For the past 10 months, our office has been working hard to design Compete Louisiana, a system-level program to attract and support adult learners with some college but no degree. There's only 563,000 of them in Louisiana. A lot of progress has been made, and we're inching closer and closer to implementing this program. We unveiled the concept at the system conference, and I would like to share a video developed to introduce Compete Louisiana to our stakeholders. Cam.
Louisiana is 49th nationally in education worker than ever before. The college degree is now the ticket to it's time to act and offer something new for the working adult. The person that didn't quite finish. Maybe life got in the way. That life still exists. Family, work, financial barriers, but we are ready to help. Compete LA is a new program powered by the Universities of Louisiana, designed to re-engage adult learners and assist them in navigating the barriers of returning to college. Our 9 member institutions are offering 28 degree programs beyond the traditional semester calendar. Degrees offered completely online or as a hybrid, combining the traditional classroom and e-learning, and degree programs with an emphasis on advancing careers and meeting workforce demands. The program will provide continuous support throughout each student's academic journey. Compete LA coaches will assist in cutting through the red tape of going back to school. Focused on academic, financial, and social barriers, our coaches will be a concierge for the adult student. Even better, after re-enrollment, the coach sticks with the student all the way to graduation. Capitalizing on the expertise and offerings of our 9 member institutions, the Universities of Louisiana will elevate our state for your future, for our future.
That's pretty good. Cammy, thank you for your work on that. I'll tell you a couple of things about this program that we haven't discussed a great deal. But from the very first day we had this concept, we built it to be scalable. One of our first meetings was with LACU, that's the Louisiana Association of Independent Colleges and Universities, to talk to them about this and how their universities can be a part of this. The other systems of higher education will also be a part of this as we get it launched, we prove the model, and then we can bring it to scale. It is infinitely scalable, as you can tell, with 653,000. Thank you for correcting me on the number. There's a lot of work to be done. It's student focused from the very beginning, and putting a student in the right environment where that student can be successful and then be able to compete in this 21st century job market is going to be absolutely essential. Now, I was involved with the idea. The work has been done by Dr. Kahn, Cammy Dinesman, and Claire Norris. They have done an immense amount of research that have held in countless meetings with other stakeholders and have developed a program that I think will be one that sets us apart in the nation. Very, very excited about that. Now, I can't say much about this next sentence, but we learned late last week that a large foundation is going to invest significantly in this work to the tune of about $536,000. So please stay tuned for more details. It was just a little teaser for you. We will be announcing that probably in the next 10 days, I hope, and we couldn't be more excited. I think it will spur other interested stakeholders. As we have revealed this to legislators, we've been very key to tell them we're not asking for a dime in state money to support this program. This will be a self-supporting, self-sufficient program, and I want to thank our university presidents and their teams for buying into this and for their help in creating this. There were members from all 9 institutions, adult workforce training and adult education experts that helped create the model. It's extraordinary. ULS Day. Now it seems like we just finished last year's marathon of sessions. I think we were in session from about the end of January till right at the end of June. We avoided calamity. And part of that was because of UL System's presence and certainly ULS Day. Our previous board chair and I talked about this, I think, on day 2 after he became chairman and I became system president. And the program has gotten better and better. I want Kimmy and Ashley to come forward. They met last week with their counterparts at our universities who have bought in and have a higher interest level in ULS Day than ever before, and to talk about their approach for this year. We have a completely different environment, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. So, last year was a time when we really focused on that mass of people, and was an incredible event and an incredibly fun event too. We got great feedback. This year, we're going to, partly due to the calendar, we are going to focus on more high-impact relationship building. And how we're going to do that is we are going to ask each institution to bring at least one academic program, one that is interactive in some way. It could be a nursing school with a blood pressure monitoring machine or something like that. It could be drones. I've asked if drones can fly in the Capitol. Not sure yet. And something that legislators can interact with. Now, in the past, we've had a challenge getting legislators to the rotunda or the Memorial Hall to actually come interact with our tables. So this year, we're going to set up essentially a liaison program, an ambassador program, where students or other institution folks, maybe alumni, definitely MNLI members, will essentially be hosts to particular legislators. So they're going to start building those relationships later this month, or later in March or early April, reaching out to their assigned legislators saying, hey, we're coming May 2nd. I want to give you some information now. I want to meet you on May 2nd, and I want to show you what these institutions are doing. So that is the idea that we're going to move forward with. And really the important thing about UL System Day is it's our opportunity to express the collective impact of these 9 institutions, and it goes so far in building that notion of system that we've been working on since, for the past 2 years. Additionally, we'll have a lunch on the patio as well as a press conference. We'll do a lot with New People Louisiana to introduce legislators to that concept. We'll have folks from our Adult Learner Task Force here, or in Baton Rouge, to talk about adult learners and why New People Louisiana is so important. And then Ashley will talk about some of the other things specifically with legislators and the government.
Yes. At the beginning of the day, as we have the last years, we will have breakfast at the Governor's Mansion with our board members and our university presidents. Dr. Henderson would also really like to involve our SGA president. So we're talking to the mansion about being able to, it's very important that our student leaders also have that intimate FaceTime with the governor and with the presidents and you all. And so we are in the process of still putting the format of the day together, but we knew that we wanted to increase the student communication with legislators. That's a very important piece. And last year, we just received amazing feedback from our legislators. They were very excited to see the students and the faculty and staff so engaged in what was going on at the Capitol, such that they wanted to come there and be together, and they really got the picture of system that the UL system brings to the table. And so this year we're wanting to really highlight some of the unique programs that are going on our campuses. And so the rotunda will be not only a display site, but it will be interactive. It will be something that legislators can come to. They can ask questions. They can understand how the work that we're doing on our campuses directly impact our citizens in the state. And so we're looking forward to ULS Day. We are making changes to it that will bring about even more understanding and depth to the legislators' knowledge of programs at our campuses. And so we hope that you all will join us again this year as you all did last year, and please look forward to the information that will be coming about ULSA.
I have a question. What, Dr. Henderson or Cammie or Ashley, what are we expecting for as attendance? What are your goals for attendance with this modified program?
I still expect there'll be several hundred folks around. Just be a slightly smaller scale, more focused scale, but there'll still be several hundred people representing our system.
Do we have a goal for as how many we're trying to get from each university?
Not that it's been established, but that, I mean, we will be establishing one. It's just.
And I'll just add, and Dr. Anderson knows how I feel about this. The other part of ULS Day, the spirit of it, was the opportunity for those students on a mass level to be able to interact with each other as well, not just simply with the legislature. That is one component, which is great.
Yeah.
But it was also for those students to be able to interact with other students and for other university presidents and board members to interact with a bunch of students at the same time. So just curious as to what ideas are y'all gonna have in place that's gonna still keep the spirit of that alive.
I think the spirit will be high. I think a lot of the feedback, the negative feedback we got from ULS Day is there wasn't enough personal interaction with legislators. The legislators came out and talked to them, but they didn't have that opportunity to really personally connect with the legislator and talk them through. We're going to have a student assigned to a specific legislator who is going to essentially be their friend, their buddy for the day. And so that personal interaction between the legislator and the student is going to be very impactful.
And can you speak a little bit about the interaction with the students amongst each other?
Anytime we get students together in as a place, they are magnets to each other. So I expect these, maybe slightly fewer students, they will have the opportunity to interact, and it'll be, I think it'll have a big impact.
And also with the students ushering the legislators around the rotunda to the different displays and interactive sites, it will also allow the students to have a more in-depth understanding of what's going on the different campuses.
And you'll have students representing their degree programs as well, so it'll be multifaceted.
I do want to echo the sentiments of Mr. Perkins about the energy of the past ULS Day. I know there have been several students on my campus who have reached out to me asking, when is the next ULS Day going to happen, and they're looking forward to that kind of energy. So if we can definitely keep that up. I do think it's important to have the relationship building with the student leaders and the legislators, but also to have those those students who aren't necessarily involved in student government or student leaders to kind of be out there and interact with each other.
You just have one student with the legislator?
Well, yeah, you'll essentially have liaisons, maybe one liaison per two, maybe three legislators. But
you were concerned about trying to, give other students an opportunity to connect with that legislator. If it would be too cumbersome, you might want to have more than one student from their district, and have them to work together in terms of getting with something. And I can tell you, based on my limited experience, that there's nothing like having somebody from back home who is a registered voter or knows a few registered voters. That just makes you kind of want to give your attention to it. And that's just human nature, right? So that's a good idea. That's a good way to get it done.
Thank you. Yeah, my experience with the UL Day at the Capitol in the past has been extraordinary in terms of the experience, the scope, the breadth, the electricity associated with the last couple of years. Chairman Perkins at the time really injected, along with the leadership, injected great and large-scale progress and energy into that. I would be concerned about any attempt to scale back that positive momentum. It is sort of like my colleague just said a minute ago, the idea about having students to have those type of experiences, exposures, and opportunities are magnificent. So I'm really curious. I heard something about scaling back, and I don't quite understand why we would do something like that in the context of what we're doing here.
We actually, I don't look at it as a scaling back. I mean, maybe in sheer numbers, we're still going to have hundreds and hundreds of people.
Excuse me, what is your definition of hundreds and hundreds? Because maybe that's what we're.
Oh, I think we'll easily have 500 to 700 people. The calendar proposed a real challenge this year. The session starts later, and when you look at when spring breaks are, there's not a week in April where our schools, like where all of our schools are available. And so
we've had times before where there were universities that had spring breaks in the past. I believe ULL has had spring breaks in the past as well.
Yeah.
And what I could say this, Mr. Chairman, that this year you have several schools that have spring break at exactly the same time. You have one school that actually ends its semester before May. And so one of the challenges that one of the opportunities we've had in the last 2 years is no shortage of days that the legislature was in session.
Yeah.
So this year they decided that they were going to have something that was even more impactful than they've had, that will have a large number of students, but that the 1,200 mark we reached last year might be a challenge. And defining the success of the day by the impact they're going to have on the high touch with legislators and with students. I don't think that you're not going to see a rally on the front yard. But what you're going to see is hundreds of students that are in alumni and university representatives that are in the Capitol engaging together to achieve some systemic goals. I think it's going to be, when they met last week with the representatives on the campuses who have to have buy-in into a program like this to make it successful, I think it's the product of their work that's still evolving. So there's no limit to how far it can go. But I think what they're trying to put forward is this high-touch, very effective approach to advocacy.
Yeah, we had multiple meetings during the conference, which is another incredible thing that comes out of the conference, is that opportunity for us to meet as a group face to face, because you can't get the same interaction over the phone, to really listen and hear what they think will be most effective, and this is the kind of the product of that.
Question, it just was brought to my attention that the UL System Day is the Thursday before finals week at ULM. And that may be the situation with other schools. Have y'all looked into that?
Yeah,
okay.
It is. And like I mentioned, the calendar is a real challenge. In one aspect, that's kind of good because that's a dead week usually. So hopefully, but we do know that is the end of the semester and it's going to be tough. But those students will make themselves available.
I got you. And just to kind of echo on Mr. Salter, there's, the students is one aspect of the ULS Day. Obviously, alumni participation is the other. So wherever you lose in students, alum are still there, especially in Baton Rouge, because that's a soft market for the UL system. So even though I know we may lose in students, it seems like we should be rallying more alumni, and I think alumni are voters as well.
That's right.
So I think
that's right.
I think there's some opportunities there. So although I know there's calendar issues as it relates to the universities, I think if you get out in front of this, there's an opportunity to have more alumni participation. And the whole thing is about ULS Day. The students is one component of it, but the alumni participation is another. I think that is an opportunity to have some additional impact as well.
And one thing that's a sure thing is that Northwestern will have 500 people there themselves.
Well, I'm just curious. Could we have both? I mean, could we, have this very, very concentrated effort with the legislators, but still allow our campuses to bring as many students as they're able to bring?
Possibly. That goes back to the calendar challenge that we're having.
But I think each university can determine that on their own.
So in the past, universities have had individual days, and that's something that has kind of gone away with UL System Day.
Right. But I would hate for us to limit our universities.
Trust me, we'll take as many as they'll bring us. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. That's where I misunderstood. I just wouldn't want the students to be limited.
No. Yeah, they will promote UL System Day on the campus just as they always have.
Well, to me, right, but to me, this sounds like to me a self-imposed limitation here. Then, if that's the case, so I mean, oftentimes we don't succeed not because we can't do it, but we don't think big enough. And I think that the momentum that we have as a system and what's been put in place, I think we should not talk in terms of the regressive side of this matter. But that's the feeling I'm getting from this.
Yeah, that's the feeling you're getting.
That's the feeling I'm getting from this discussion, and it doesn't sit well with me. We're doing great things, big things, and let's expand our thinking to a degree that is all encompassing and universal in nature. And I think we can have both. It's not a binary situation here.
Sure.
And to make sure that everybody is clear, there is absolutely no expectation that ULS Day will be less impactful than it's ever been. In fact, it will be dramatically more impactful than it's ever been. I think the way that we're measuring that success this year is on that impact. I think you'll have every school will be encouraged to bring as many students as they possibly can. I think putting on them the expectation that they all get that they were able to get 1,200 students last year, I think that number would be unrealistic. Certainly it's not going to be a limitation. And so if that number would be unrealistic for students, then how then do we supplement that? With alumni, with more effective high touch, with other partners, those kinds of things. So I think the last thing that anyone should take away from this is the UL system will be less than it has ever been. In fact, it'll be quite the opposite. Thank y'all very much. I want to ask Erica Calais to come forward to talk about a couple of events, the Academic Summit, Academic Honors Day. In case y'all are unclear, Erica oversees all of our student support, all of our student services. She ensures that we're abiding by anti-hazing legislation, fulfilling our free speech expectations, running presidential searches, and she's also in charge of the Academic Summit and Academic Honors Day. So it's a part-time job, but Erica, I appreciate you doing that. Please, Erica.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Henderson, and good morning to everyone. There's never a dull moment at the system, as you can see, right? So we have a couple other events to add to your spring calendar. The first I'd like to tell you about is the Academic Summit. It's actually the 8th annual Academic Summit, which will take place on the campus of Grambling State University, thanks to President Gallo and his team. As you know, the Academic Summit, it incorporates service learning initiatives on our campuses, as well as undergraduate research activities. It includes students and faculty. It is usually an amazing event, and President Gallo has promised that this will be the best one yet, wherever he is. The next event I'd like to, I'm sorry, did I tell you the dates? No, April 11th and 12th. Registration is open for the board members who would like to attend. Please let me know and I'll see that you're registered. Another event is called Academic Honors Day. It's a celebration that is happening later this semester. It's slated to be held in Baton Rouge on April 27th. This is an event that is sponsored by Supervisor Perkins and Judge Wilson Fields. We participated last school juniors and seniors with a grade point average of 3.0. And they typically participate, and some have opportunities to win scholarships. Last year, one individual even won a car, and I'm hoping he's still in school. Haven't heard that. But it's a great event. Again, that's April 27th. If you are interested in attending, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your leadership on that. And lastly, I just want to end my report with one of the best videos I've ever seen in my life. And some of you may have seen it on social media. Was accepted into a university that we all know.
Called to your kid's school, a meeting with the principal isn't usually a good thing. But, well, for one Grand Prairie mom, it turned out to be a moment that she will never forget. Matt Howard explained.
There's something else that we need to talk about.
Okay. If you got in trouble at school a lot, you've probably seen this mother's look before.
Yeah, this universal no-nonsense face belongs to Luana McCree, and she's so tense, so hungry for answers because...
So when she came up here, she gave me that look like, what did you do?
Her 18-year-old daughter, Promise, was in the principal's office. Or at least, that's why Luana was told to come to the school right away. She's actually about to get a big surprise.
I was trying not to grin, trying not to give it away, so I just had a serious face.
You see, Promise is a senior at South Grand Prairie Early College High School and applied to Grambling State University in Louisiana. It's a pretty big step. No one in her family has ever been accepted into a university. That is, until now. So, sit back and get ready to see that stern face disappear.
I got accepted into Grambling. And so I told her, and like,
all of that anxiety went away, and yeah, I did a dance for her as well.
McCree's priceless reaction was filmed in December, but thought Grand Prairie ISD shared the video. This mother, whether the video is a few weeks old or 25 years old, it will always be a milestone for her family.
The possibilities are endless already, so I'm very proud of her.
In Grand Prairie, I'm Matt Howard.
So y'all might want that mama for the drill team.
Bullet train, can I go down the street?
Enroll the mama as well.
Oh, yes.
Very good. So I think what that captures more than anything else is the promise of our work. I think that I don't know if I've ever seen a report that's more reflective of the work that we do every day. And sometimes we get caught up in policy or in process or in the political fights that we have. That's the reason that we exist. Captured so beautifully on video for all of us. And Dr. Gallo, thank you for uncovering it and sharing it with us, and your Grambling team for the work you do every day, and for bringing quality Texas students where they belong to Louisiana. So thank you. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Henderson. I'd also like to take a moment to once again thank Dr. Burtell and the Metcalfe family for hosting this. We know that this is going to be an extraordinary experience for our group. We look forward again to seeing all the positive things that you've done, and certainly appreciate the people component and how you've affected the leadership team here. We'll certainly be enjoying the next stage of the year. We appreciate the work dedicated of the dedicated campus staff. We always make our visits comfortable and meaningful. Thank you. Our board retreat, as soon as we conclude the meeting today, we'll start our board retreat. System and university staff have worked to ensure a quality and comfortable time together. We have an experienced facilitator joining us from the Association of University and College Governing Boards as we aim to develop as board members and explore our priorities for the next year. I look forward to my time with fellow board members and appreciate you taking time from your family to attend this retreat. I know today and tomorrow will increase our capacities and enhance board relationships. This was certainly an initiative that was started by Chair Perkins, and I want to thank him again for taking the courage to bring us together and occur. I encourage you to attend as many commencement exercises as your schedule allows. Those are wonderful experiences, and I think quite purposeful for what we do in serving our students and our faculty. And I would encourage you to participate and gain some interest and recognize the output of our schools. The ceremonies are a culmination of the work we're doing and is inspiring to experience them in person. If you're interested in ordering a custom board regalia, please see Caitlin Wilkerson. Caitlin can help you select and order regalia if you choose to do that. The spring exercises system will have a few robes available for London. Sandra will send out an RSVP link for commencements and information about system regalia later this spring. I have a few housekeeping items before we go. I have a couple of those. Next month, Sandra will distribute information about completing your annual disclosure statement. Those disclosures for 2018 is due on May 15th. Bruce Chaney will distribute information about your required sexual harassment prevention training soon. In addition to this training, the board members are required to attend ethics training. We'll have live ethics training in conjunction with our many of you have taken headshots already. I would encourage those of you who have not to go ahead and do so today while here. Doug Dugas from UL Lafayette is still on the calendars. I look forward to having all of you there, and know that that will be right at the onset of the session. I'm sure we'll have a lot more activity at that time. Is there any other business to come before the board this time? Hearing none, if I could have a motion to, I'm sorry, Janine?
Yes, just one housekeeping item. Lunch relates over to the Health and Human Performance. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. We have a motion to adjourn.
Man, you heading back north?